Hello, my name is Simon Owens, and today I wanted to talk about web traffic, and specifically, talk about the idea that web traffic as a singular metric no longer really matters. It used to be that websites used to completely judge all aspects of their success based on how much web traffic they got. They would, the biggest media companies would release these press releases saying that they had month-to-month growth or year-over-year growth of traffic, whether that was unique users or paid views or video views or whatever. But you see that happening less and less now. And the reason that they always kind of bragged about this figure was that there was kind of view that if you were a media company, there was always this elusive profitability, and they could reach profitability if they just reached whatever metric they had on the horizon. So if they were to get 10%, 20% more page views or unique visitors, then basically they would hit the right scale that they needed to be able to have their revenue come in over expenses. But lately you're seeing more and more publishers recognizing the fact that web traffic alone won't save them. There was this incredible interview with Blodget from Business Insider, which is known as one of the biggest, in terms of web traffic. It was one of the biggest clickbaitiest website. It was one of the earliest websites on the or news sites on the web that really kind of focused on how do we gain page views, how do we drive as much traffic as possible, and it really became a kind of web traffic machine. And he basically admitted on a recent podcast at DigiDay that he is no longer really focused on growth. And when he said growth, he meant web traffic growth. So that was a pretty astonishing admittance that web traffic growth alone will save you, and you're seeing this more and more with other publications, partly in the sense of they're constantly iterating their business models that are moving away from just a simple display advertising based business model. So they're adding in, they're focusing more on actual engagement of the users that they are getting rather than driving more users to their websites. And so this is why there's such a huge pivot. They're focusing on paying subscribers. They're focusing on events. They're focusing on more engaging advertising content. This is why you see the rise of native advertising. And even there was an article today in Ad Age where major publications like The Guardian and the New York Times are now turning to philanthropic giving even. So they're recognizing that there's this ceiling, that there's tons of supply on the internet, and it's really not that impressive to add even more supply to the already kind of the oversaturated market for content, and that no matter how much traffic that you send or that you generate, it's going to result in this massive revenue, because it's just the massive amount of content on the web is basically driving down the demand for advertising. And there was also another report I read today that said that even where there is growth in traffic, almost all of that growth is actually coming from mobile views. So people who are Googling things on their phones, or who are coming in through apps like Twitter and Facebook and other news reading apps. And we've seen in terms of trends that for news sites, that's even harder to monetize traffic, and that the majority of advertising revenue that's being sucked up by these additional views on mobile are going to just a few small players like Google and Facebook. They're sucking up just about 90% of all advertising growth. So even where these publishers are seeing continued growth in traffic, a lot of it is on the mobile side, where they're even less effective at monetizing, at least from an advertising perspective, than they are on desktop. So this is why you're seeing people like Blodget from Business Insider just admitting that they can no longer play this traffic game. And this is why you're seeing Business Insider, if you look at what they've been doing lately, they actually have some paid Business Insider intelligence products that cost anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s per year. Is because they're recognizing that while advertising has its place on their sites, and they can make some revenue for it, they can't just simply basically scale their traffic to continue scaling revenue growth. They have to look at other avenues, and this is something that you're going to see across the industry as a lot of these news sites, as they're facing pressure to bring in more revenue, they're going to give up on the web traffic side and think about how can we drive really meaningful engagement that goes beyond traffic. All right, that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.